I'm Elena, or 107, as I go by at camp. Try to keep it short, but it's hard because as time goes on, my Kesem story gets longer and longer, and the speeches get longer and longer. So I started at Camp Kesem in UCLA Camp Kesem's first year in 2005, when I was 10, I think. Some of my counselors from my very first year are here right now. Yeah, it's very exciting for me. So when I was 9 and 10, when I first started Camp Kesem, after my dad was first diagnosed with lung cancer, I was really, really shy and quiet, and I don't think that I talked at camp much at all, let alone in cabin chats. But I definitely observed how much fun everyone was having, and I started to learn that Kesem is this community that is really, really supportive and makes kids feel really comfortable. And so in the next couple of years, I became... In the next couple of years, I opened up more, definitely, and Kesem became more and more important to me. And ultimately, I think it changed me into a much more outgoing person, definitely much more emotionally aware and compassionate, and able to be empathetic towards others. And so, by 2007, I was definitely changed already. And I was 13, it was my third year of camp, and I graduated from the regular camp. And that year was also very significant and special to me, because on the day that I got back home from camp that year, two of my counselors came up to my sister and I, and they told us that our mom had called and said that we had to go home as soon as possible. And so they drove us home. We didn't get to have the yummy potluck that we always have at the end of camp. And we got home, and my mom sat us down and gave me a glass of orange juice. And she told us that my dad, whose cancer had spread to his brain and throughout his body, was going to pass away very soon. And so she took us into the bedroom, and we sat down on the bed where he was lying, and 15 minutes after we got home, he was gone. But I will be eternally grateful that the week before that tragedy happened, I was at Camp Kesem, because as sad as I was, I knew that I had all these experiences, and that I would always have all these experiences from camp, and all these friends and counselors who would always be there for me, will always be there for me, and really, really understand what I went through and what I will go through for the rest of my life. And so that was just the beginning of my story with camp. I'll try to speed through the rest. So that year, incidentally, they started teen camp, and so I didn't have to be graduated anymore. I got to come back, and I did teen camp for another 3 years. And teen camp really was the best time that I've had at Camp Kesem, because after my dad passed away, I became really aware of how important Camp Kesem was and how important it could be for my grieving process, and how I could start to help other kids and counselors going through the same thing that I did. And so I got to come back for teen camp, and then after 3 years of teen camp, I graduated again. Had another graduation ceremony. It was really weird, and like the exact same thing happened as when I graduated the first time. All this crying and love, which was really great. And after that, my best friend and I, we decided that we were going to refuse to not be able to come back to camp. We were going to find a way to come back to camp. And so we, with some of our friends and counselors from Camp Kesem, started organizing, putting together a petition and a proposal to start a counselor and training program for Camp Kesem, which would definitely help the program and all the kids, but also would be a way for us to come back to camp. That was like what we were really thinking about. And so we worked with members of the National Committee of Camp Kesem, and it happened. And so I did 2 years of CIT, and all the way up until I graduated high school, and now I go to UCLA. To being on the other side and giving all these kids the incredible life-changing experience that all my counselors, like those ones over there, gave me.